first round of questions here, and it appears that we have some time and that we can allow for a 3-minute round of questions. So it really, for the quality of the discussion, et cetera, is really, it's rich, and it's so critically important. I would just say to Mr. Pocan, I love the idea of a hearing with regard to teacher shortage, and we're going to take you up on that and pursue it. So thank you. I think it's a very, very big issue. Mr. Secretary, I'd like to, say thanks with regard to the great work of you and your staff on borrower defense. More than 100,000 defrauded borrowers have received loan discharges under the borrower defense repayment provision, but we've got another tens of thousands of additional borrowers who are waiting for their claims to be adjudicated. I just read the article that was handed to me coming out today. Education Department approves $238 million group discharge for 28,000 Marinella schools of beauty borrowers based on borrower defense findings. I think it's interesting. I know my colleague, Ms. Herrera Butler, talked about for-profit cosmetology schools being worried about regulation. But if you take a look at the article, and what was found here is that this was the department found schools failed to train students in key elements of cosmetology program, how to cut hair. Some very basic things, so that cracking down on these schools that are predators is really critically important. Tell me what you are. I know we're waiting for a borrower defense rule. In the meantime, what are you trying to do to adjudicate these outstanding defense claims for groups?
Thank you. You mentioned today's announcement. Prior to that, over $2 billion in relief through borrower defense for 105,000 borrowers who were taken advantage of, misled. We really need to send a message that we're not going to let that slide, that these practices of taking advantage of students trying to chase that American dream is something that we're going to be monitoring more closely. I'm proud of the enforcement team being brought back up under Richard Cordray's very capable leadership. It's really creating a new culture to make sure that the return on investment for our students is there, so that they are not saddled with debt for the rest of their life, earning low income. So I mentioned borrower defense. We're feeling similarly with income-driven repayment. We're feeling the same way with public service loan forgiveness. A lot of attention is on broad loan forgiveness. We are working really hard, especially this first year, to fix systems that are broken, that were not working for students, and borrower defense is one of those.
Okay, and I just would mention, the students and the taxpayers are the ones who should be worried about what is happening here, and there's overwhelming data that talks about what attorneys generals have found.
Yep.
About misleading students, harassing students, worthless degrees, major student debt. That has to be drummed out of the system. Right. That's what we have to do. No one is saying, let's give people technical education. It's critically important to do that. And we can work with that, work with businesses, we can work with community colleges, and getting the people what they need and the technical credentials to move. But we cannot allow corruption to take advantage of our kids or of the federal tax dollars. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I now yield to the ranking member, Mr. Cole.